And the 2009 season starts to wind down. Just 6 games, including tonight, remain here at the Rogers Center. It's the Orioles and Blue Jays for the second time. Toronto's domination of Baltimore in this building continues with last night's victory. And we welcome you to the Rogers Center. Thank you so much for joining us. I'm Jamie Campbell, joined by Rance Mullenix. And Rance, when we look back on last night, call it an audition for the rotation in 2010. And I'd say David Percy passed with flying colors.
Yes, if it was an audition, he did himself a lot of favors last night with his start. He had an outstanding fastball combined with a very good overhand curveball in last night's ball game. But I thought the key for him, he had excellent composure, great pace and tempo to the way that he worked last night's ball game. The result was outstanding outing for David Percy.
And the Blue Jays were able to pile up a whole bunch of runs. This single brought in 2 from Adam Lind in the 3rd inning. A couple of home runs in the 6th inning, 1 from Overbay, and this from John McDonald. Made it a 5-1 game. They had 4 more in the 8th inning and go on to a 9-2 victory. So the Blue Jays continue to dominate the Baltimore Orioles here at the Rogers Center. They're just 1-5 at Camden Yards, but 6-1 against Baltimore here in Toronto, and they're obviously playing quite well. And they will be playing, it seems, without Marco Scutaro the rest of the way. We're not too sure whether that is fact or fiction, so with more information, let's go downstairs and bring in Sam Cosentino.
Jamie, there still is no definitive answer as to whether or not we will see Marco Scutaro the rest of this year. One American website had it reported last night that he is done for the season. The Blue Jays have not officially released that information. Let's take you back to Sunday in the 6th inning. B.J. Upton at the plate, Scutaro in on this ball, and he pulls up lame. That right foot can handle no more pressure, and a good look at the replay, he said he heard a snap here, and from there couldn't put any more pressure on it. An MRI last night revealed a tear of the plantar fasciitis, but Scutaro says he wants to play. If so, he's going to need a little help, as he did today for the team photo, leaning on Kevin Millar. We should have a more definitive answer in the coming days as to whether or not Scutaro will play again this season.
Sam, it's good to see he made it for the team photo. He's been an integral part of the 2009 Blue Jays, who play out the rest of the year. They've got Game 2 coming up tonight on Rogers Sportsnet against the Baltimore Orioles. Again tonight for game number 2 between the Orioles and the Blue Jays. Toronto took the opener 9-2. They continue a good run against Baltimore here in this building, 6-1 this year. Still a jovial set of Orioles led by manager Dave Tremblay. Here's the lineup he amassed prior to today's game with Brian Roberts, the speedy second baseman, off the top. Felix Piet moves up and hits second. Matt Wieters, the rookie catcher. Luke Scott with 6 home runs in his career against Toronto, 3 of them against Roy Halladay. Moore is at third, Wigginton the DH. Lou Montañez checks in. He'll play right field. Michael Aubry's at first. And Cesar Izturis bats ninth and plays short. And tonight Brian Talent takes the hill for the Blue Jays, and he makes his 24th start.
Brian Talent be looking for his 8th win on the season here this evening. 111 strikeouts and 147 in the third innings of work.
It's good to see Talent pitching, because this start was in doubt after he was smoked by a comebacker in the right ankle in his last outing. That was last Wednesday in New York. Here's a look at his scouting report.
He has a fastball that will cut and sink. Will also use a slider and a change. The changeup is his go-to pitch, his out pitch.
Well, he has managed to put together a 7-9 record this year. Started the season out of the bullpen, but checked in as a starter when Jesse Litch went down in April in Minnesota. And here are the men who will play behind him.
Snyder, Wells, Bautista in the outfield, Encarnacion at third, McDonald at short, Hill at second. Millar will play first base against the left-hander this evening. Barajas back behind the plate, and Brian Talent doing the pitching for the Jays.
Brian Roberts taps his heels and digs in as the first batter of tonight's ball game. As the Blue Jays and Orioles play game number 2, they'll wrap up their series tomorrow night. So here we go. First pitch is in for strike 1, and it's time to play some baseball at the Rogers Center. Roberts with 54 doubles this year. Tied for the most of any switch hitter in Major League history, in fact, in a single season. That pitch away, 1-1. In terms of a second baseman, the Major League record for doubles was set way back in 1936 by the Hall of Famer with the Tigers, Charlie Gehringer. So Roberts is close. As he laces that ball foul, it's a ball and 2 strikes. Talent only lasted 2 innings in his last outing. That was Wednesday in New York. And on the 1-2 pitch, it is fouled back, so it remains 1-2.
Good changeup from Brian Talent, and had Brian Roberts well out in front. And from a pitcher's perspective, when you fool a hitter as much as Roberts was fooled with that last pitch, you would like for him to put it in play.
Rod Barajas sets up behind the plate, and another one is golf foul. And a bunch of people beyond first base here at the Rogers Center are making their way down to their seats and finding foul balls all over the place. And let's check the glove of Brian Talent. It's hard to see what's inscribed on the thumb there, but 2 starts ago in Detroit, he was using Scott Downs' glove because he forgot to bring his on the road trip. As it slashed to right field, and a base hit for Roberts. In fact, Downs' glove served him well that night. He picked up his 7th win of the year, going 6 1/3. So here's Felix Piet, the center fielder, as Roberts is always a threat to go, standing at first base. He's there with the always conversational Kevin Millar.
Roberts with 29 stolen bases on the season, and over the last several years is one of the best base stealers in the American League. So if he feels he can get a jump, he'll definitely be running.
Ground ball to short. Here's McDonald.
Over to second for one, back to first in time. They get the double play.
John McDonald gets it started very quickly. A quick snap throw to Aaron Hill. And the arm strength of Aaron Hill helped him complete the double play. Just getting PA at first base.
So here is Matt Wieters. And the rookie catcher had himself a tough time against David Percy last night, striking out 3 times. In fact, on all 3 occasions, he went down swinging at one of Percy's curveballs.
David Percy had a very good curveball last night, and a number of strikeouts recorded with the curveball. I thought what was most impressive about Percy last night, along with his stuff, was the fact that he had very good pace and tempo all night. And that's something we hadn't seen in the past from David Percy.
Down low, 2-1. Now Wieters is starting to heat up with his bat. And he pulled off a feat last Wednesday that only one other catcher in the major leagues has managed, and that was he threw out Carl Crawford trying to steal twice in a single game. Only Gerald Laird of the Texas Rangers can make that claim. As it's popped past second, McDonald goes out, makes the grab, and that's the top of the first. When we come back, Bautista. Blue Jays, and they feature Edwin Encarnacion batting third, and he's just now starting to show what he can do short term. In his last 13 games, hitting .306. On the season, hitting just .229. But keep in mind, this is a man who last year with the Cincinnati Reds hit 26 home runs. So perhaps in the final month of the year, we're just starting to see the power of Encarnacion. And so he'll be a right-handed batter going up against a big, tall left-hander tonight. Ex-Blue Jay Mark Hendrickson is on the hill for the Orioles.
And in his career against the Blue Jays in 11 starts, Mark Hendrickson comes into the ballgame with a 2-7 record.
Here's a gapper for Bautista. Picked up quickly by the right fielder Montañez. But Bautista on one pitch finds himself in scoring position as he doubles to center field.
And Bautista not wasting any time this evening. Often a leadoff hitter would try to work the count a little bit, but jumps on the first pitch, drives it into right center. And a nice play by Montañez to cut it off. The ball gets by him, and Bautista's going to have a triple. But a 2-7 career mark for Mark Hendrickson against the Blue Jays with a 4.83 ERA.
Here's Hill. He slashes the ball foul. Hill's average at .285. He still sits just 2 RBIs shy of the 100 level. Hendrickson deals, and it's fly to center field. PA steps in and makes the grab, and that chases Bautista back to second. Well, tell us what you know about the lanky left-hander.
Not a hard thrower, more of a finesse type pitcher, 86 to 89 with his fastball, and he will cut it, especially on to the right-handed hitters. A curveball, slider, and change. He will use all four of them, and he must pitch to both sides of the plate and change speeds.
Here is Encarnacion, and he's having a pretty good run the last little while. In fact, this month has upped his average, hitting .271 in the month of September with 3 home runs, 11 RBIs in his last 16 games. France, do increased September averages come with a grain of salt because you tend to be going up against minor league recalls, up against teams that might be out of the race?
That most certainly could have some effect on how good a hitter would, September a hitter will have. But in the case of a guy such as Encarnacion, who has had success in the past over in the National League, I think it's just a question. It's not so much who he's facing, it's how he's swinging the bat at the time.
2 balls and 1 strike from Hendrickson. Breaking ball, and that catches Encarnacion by surprise. 2 balls and 2 strikes now.
And the curveball is Hendrickson's go-to pitch. And he is not afraid to use it at any point in the count.
Came up with the Blue Jays in 0-2. Here he sets, goes to work, gets a ground ball to short. Esturras throws out Encarnacion as Bautista dives into third. He gets dirty, advancing 1 base, and while Vernon Wells strolls to the plate, we'll set up the Orioles defensively for you.
Scott in left, PA in center, Montañez in right, Mora at third, Esturras at short, Roberts at second, Aubrey at first, the rookie Wieters behind the plate, and Mark Hendrickson on the mound.
And here is the number 4 hitter, Vernon Wells. And he grounds this one sharply to third, but there is Mora. He makes the out at first. A man is left, and we've played 1 here at the Rogers Center. Coming up this Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, the Blue Jays host the Mariners. If you come down and check out the Jays shop, they're having quite a sale. It's a buy one, get one free jersey weekend with 50% off jackets and fleeces. For more information, we invite you to check out BlueJays.com. taking place all this weekend at the ballpark. There's Luke Scott leading off for the Orioles, second inning of play, and he goes up against Brian Talent. And Scott having a wonderful year. 24 home runs is a career high. Here's a man who has jumped around from organization to organization, drafted originally by the Cleveland Indians. He was traded to Houston as he waxed that foul, and then came over prior to last year in that massive Miguel Tejada deal. And I'd say, Rance, the Orioles found themselves one heck of a good player here.
Very good player, and he has a lot of pop in his bat. 24 home runs coming into tonight's ball game. And he's been tough on the Jays.
1-1. And the 2-1 pitch is hit to left center field. Snyder is there, and he's got Scott. Here comes Melvin Mora now. Though the Orioles and Blue Jays share a division, they haven't seen Brian Talent much this year. And as that one is lined softly to short, McDonald puts away Mora. Talent's last outing against these Orioles came in August in relief after Brett Cecil left with a knee injury in the 5th inning. In fact, Talent went on to pitch 5 scoreless innings, and the Blue Jays ended up winning 3-2 in the 10th inning. He picked up a no decision, but it was a critical effort. Who's really been used from time to time as a reliever, mostly as a starter. He has essentially done whatever the Blue Jays have asked him to do. And so I guess the question becomes, how does he factor in next year? Especially with all these arms that are going to be returning at some point.
It's going to be interesting that unless he is needed in the rotation, you would have to feel that he will be back in the bullpen, where the bullpen really, I think, misses Talent, because, you know, with the fact that B.J. Ryan did not perform well and Talent had to come out of the bullpen and into the rotation, the bullpen's been a little short, it seems, all year long.
Wigginton to center field, a base hit. Wells keeps it to a single.
And Talent, the 3 previous seasons prior to 09, had been a workhorse and a good one out of the bullpen for the Jays, appearing in 173 ball games.
He very well could end up starting the year in the rotation. Jesse Litch, as we know, won't be there for opening day. Dustin McGowan certainly will not be. Hopefully Sean Markham will be.
And then it probably is going to depend on how some of the younger, like Zepchinski, Cecil, throw the ball in spring training. If they pitch well enough to make the staff, then they'll be in the rotation.
Here is Lou Montañez, hitting an even 200. And he belts this to right field. Bautista has to sprint back and makes an awkward looking catch, but gets the job done either way. Mumbles something to himself, breathes a sigh of relief, and sends Talent to the dugout, giving up a hit and leaving one here in the 2nd inning. game, a lucky contestant wins a 52-inch Sharp Aquos LCD TV with ultra brilliant full array LED backlight and Blu-ray disc player. Aquos LED, the evolution of LCD TV continues. To enter and find out more, please visit the website hitahomerunwithsharp.ca. Aquos gave away a couple of televisions last night with 2 home runs in the 6th inning. And Rod Barajas is up there now. He a man of 18 home runs this year. In fact, 18 leaves him 3 shy of tying his all-time career high. He hit 21 with the Texas Rangers back in '05.
But he has struggled at the plate as of late. He was 4 for 24 on the last road trip, and of course he didn't play in last night's game, so struggling with his timing a little bit right now.
The 0-2, and he shoots that foul. Gifted Rance would be the everyday catcher who can maintain a pretty decent batting average late in the season. Would you agree?
Yes, it's amazing that some of them do as well as they do, considering.
He gets jammed, muscles it out toward left. Desturis is there, and he makes the catch.
The physical toll that catching takes on you day in, day out.
Now, Kevin Millar, the one-time Oriole, is announced. He hasn't played very often lately, but comes in here against Mark Hendrickson with outstanding career numbers. Millar is 10 for 29, a .345 average against the big lefty in his time, with 2 home runs and 10 RBIs. He turns away from the first offering, 1-0.
And pretty much the approach that Hendrickson's had early on in this ball game against these right-handed hitters try to cut the fastball on the hands and mix in his good curveball. And so far he's been effective. We've seen him. He jammed Aaron Hill, jammed Rod Barajas with a cutter on the hands.
And he walks Kevin Millar. This is Hendrickson's 8th year in big league baseball. He has 2 winning seasons and a career ERA over 5. Rance, he's a survivor.
Well, he's managed to do that and keep himself a job in the big leagues. And, you know, he's, I guess for lack of a better word, you'd call him serviceable. He's the kind of guy, he'll pitch out of the bullpen. He'll start if you need him to.
Ruiz tags this ball to left center field. It gets down and rolls up and smacks the scoreboard. And Millar now being waved home. Here comes the throw in, and it is in time to get him. And Nick Leyva, the third base coach, slaps his hands. It doesn't appear, Rance, that Millar was going full steam into third in the first place.
It did appear that Kevin Millar did not think that he was going to be sent. But a perfect relay from Izturis to the catcher Wieters, if it's not right on the money, Millar was going to be safe. But an excellent job of execution on the relay by the Baltimore Orioles. And right here is where it looked like Millar probably felt he wasn't going to be sent, and then Nick Leyva with the late call.
Well, give credit to the Orioles for executing the play and getting Millar at the plate. 2 gone, and here is Travis Snyder.
But when you looked at the replay, it didn't appear as if Millar ever at any time slowed down. He went hard all the way.
Snyder last night did not look terribly comfortable at the plate. He struck out 3 times, and yet at the end of the night had driven in more runs than anybody. He had 3 RBIs. As he awaits the 2-0 from Hendrickson. Breaking ball and a strike. Hendrickson is now 35 years of age, standing 6'9" and weighing about 240. He really cuts an imposing figure up there. Throws the pitch down low, and that's ball 4. So Snyder draws a walk, puts men at first and second, and that will give John McDonald an opportunity.
And John McDonald's swung the bat very well in last night's ball game. He was robbed by PA on a ball that looked initially like it was going to be extra bases, and then hit two more balls hard, one of which left the park.
Weeder sets up inside. Here's the pitch, and it's hammered high and foul. You know, McDonald can surprise you every now and then with his bat. You know what you're getting defensively. There's strike 2. Don't be fooled, too. He takes great pride in what he does at the plate. He knows he's considered, you know, a less than qualified batter, but
you can't
he's posted some good numbers lately.
And you can't take him for granted. You make a mistake to him, he has the ability to hurt you, you know, in an RBI situation.
Grounds that one to third. Mora has it, and that ends the inning. 2 are left by the Blue Jays after 2, no score. You're watching Blue Jays baseball on Rogers Sportsnet. Canada's fastest mobile network, 3 times faster than any other, and this one dips into Blue Jays history on this day in 1998. Tony Fernandez hit an inside the park home run against Mike Mussina as the Jays beat the Orioles. One of several inside the park home runs. I know you hit one too in your time with his team against Kevin Brown of the Texas Rangers. And yet that's not something we've seen in a long, long time. You know, the last inside the park home run for a Blue Jay came 6 years ago from Greg Myers, who's really an unlikely candidate. Oddly enough, it came in September against the Baltimore Orioles as Michael Aubrey steps in, a left-handed hitter playing first base. Now, Aubrey was picked up in June from Cleveland several weeks before the Orioles traded away Aubrey Huff to the Detroit Tigers. Perhaps they sensed at some point they might need a left-handed hitting first baseman. You were there the only time a Blue Jay ever hit an inside the park grand slam, weren't you?
Yeah, in Fenway Park. It was Junior Felix in 1989, I think.
Yes, it was. Here's Talent, and the 3-1 is ripped to right field. That ball carries toward the wall, takes a big hop. Bautista with a good arm. Aubrey storming into second. And the throw is offline as he slides in with a double. That might have been a little closer than Aubrey wanted.
It appeared that Bautista had just a little bit of trouble finding the handle on the ball after it came off the wall. He does have a strong throwing arm and is generally very accurate. This one didn't quite get that angle just right.
That brings up their number 9 hitter, Cesar Izturis.
And this is a situation where if you are Brian Talent and of course the third baseman Encarnacion, you can bring Millar into that as well. Have to be aware of the fact that Izturis will not hesitate to bunt in this situation to try to move the runner along to third base with nobody out.
He fouls it back. It's 1-1. You and I were talking about situations like this before the ball game where you've got nobody out and a man at second base, and the goal of the hitter, save for drilling an extra base hit or a home run, is to move the runner over from second to third. And he grounds this one right up the middle and scores himself a base hit. Aubrey held at third as Wells brings it in very quickly. So a double from Aubrey, now a single from Izturis, and the Orioles are in business here.
Unless, of course, you get the green light to go ahead and try to drive the runner in. But a nice job, you can see, trying to keep his hands inside the ball. In the event that he didn't get a base hit, he would move the runner. As it turns out, he singles to center field, and the Orioles have a little something going here in the top of the third.
Is that a call made by the third base coach? Do you look to the third base coach to determine whether or not they want something other than moving the runner over, trying to hit the ball to the right side?
Yes, and that, of course, the third base coach is just a relay for what the manager wants done in that situation. But in the case of a player like Izturis, if he's asking, he's just wanting to make sure that they're not going to green light him because he knows what his number one priority is.
Mm-hmm. Well, here's Brian Roberts, men on the corners, Talent with a 1-0 pitch, and he swings and misses. Change of speeds there, and that fools Roberts. And so there are obviously players in the major leagues, the Evan Longorias and the Ryan Howards, who never even have to worry about that kind of thing. They go up to the plate, man on second, nobody out. Their focus is not to move the runner over.
They get paid to drive in runs.
Right.
And both of them do it quite well.
Here's the 1-1 pitch, and that ball just missed. 2-1 now as Brian O'Nora signals to Talent. He's the home plate umpire tonight. And Talent cuts it in on Roberts, and now it's 2-2. belted towards center field, and this gets away from Wells as the man comes in from third. And here is Roberts sliding in, and he's off the bag and tagged out by Aaron Hill. A heads-up play by Hill, who kept with Roberts and finally gets him as he slides right over second base.
Two things. First of all, Vernon Wells cuts the ball off and realizes no chance at third, and then fires quickly back into second base. And as you mentioned, Jamie, great job by Aaron Hill to stay with it. Brian Roberts oversliding second base and able to record the out. Here we get a different angle. And initially right here he misses him, but able to stay with it and get him just on the forearm before he can get his hand back into the bag. And
so sorry, go ahead, Rance.
No, you go ahead. Go ahead.
Here's PA. High and deep to center field. Deep enough, it seems, to cash Izturis as he tags and comes in. 2-0 Baltimore.
I was just going to say, because of the tag out at second base of Roberts, that it allowed the Blue Jays to play the infield in to try to cut the run off. But as it turns out, it doesn't matter.
Well, these Orioles opened the scoring in last night's affair, but the Blue Jays ended up with a walk in the park victory, 9-2, scoring 4 times in the 8th to really put it away. They're down here in the third inning, 2-0. As Matt Wieters, their future star, who works behind home plate, steps in batting .281. And all of this with just 1 year of professional baseball under his belt before this season. He was the number 5 overall pick in the June draft of 2007 out of Georgia Tech. And he hits this one to the corner, and that ball is in fair territory, and it's up and over the wall. A double for Wieters.
Yeah, the pitch was up and in on his hands, but strong enough to fight it off, and you could tell by the replay, just fair.
And rolled right into the hands of a young man out there in left field, a father-son tandem.
You know, sometimes as a pitcher you make a good pitch, you get the ball where you want to, which was the case with Wieters. It sounded as if it broke his bat, but he still ends up with a double and is in scoring position.
That ball hits just inside the line. By about an inch or two. It came oh so close to being foul. It puts Wieters in scoring position for Luke Scott, who drills this one high and deep to center field. Back is Wells. He's to the wall, and it is caught by Wells. So Talent escapes after a long fly out. However, he gives up 2. Wells has been doing this for years. It's Baltimore up 2-0. Well, the live web chats are really becoming popular on BlueJays.com. Earlier today, it was Ricky Romero. On Friday, we dip into the past, and you can chat with Jose Cruz Jr. between 3:30 Eastern and 4:15. BlueJays.com/chat has more details. Cruz will be honored later that night as the guest of Flashback Fridays. Two 2-0 Baltimore, and here's Jose Bautista, who leads off for the Jays in their half of the third inning. I'm Jamie Campbell with Rance Mullenix and Sam Cosentino. Our statistician tonight, Scott Carson, leaned in, and he's waiting for perhaps a change in the scoring on the play from Roberts as he was tagged out by Aaron Hill at second. As Bautista lines this to left field and caught not altogether comfortably by Luke Scott. But as you saw, Roberts went over the bag. He got into second safely. He was tagged out sliding over the bag, and if he scored perhaps correctly a double, that would be a major league tying double for switch hitters.
This ball by Bautista hit very hard, and almost appeared as if it was kind of a knuckleball, knuckling a little bit, and at the last moment moved away from Scott in left field, but a nice play to make the adjustment and the catch.
Here's Hill now, and the breaking ball is in for strike one. Hill with only 4 hits and 24 at-bats in his career against Hendrickson. As the big lefty deals high, Hill checks his swing. 2-1. Hill taps the plate. He's ready to go. Here's the kick and the pitch. Drilled high and deep to left field. This one is sailing on out of here. A home run for Aaron Hill. What a season for number 2, and you can now give him his 33rd home run this year.
Well, in his first at bat, Hendrickson jammed Aaron Hill with a cutter on the hands. He tried to go back with the cut fastball, got it in a pretty good spot, but Hill, looking for it, pulls his hands in, makes the adjustment, and drives it out of the ballpark.
And here's a belt by Encarnacion, and you can kiss that one goodbye. Back-to-back shots for the Blue Jays. He did hit it there.
And so far in this inning, every ball has been hit very hard off of Hendrickson. Bautista lined out hard, and here it looks like a little two-seam fastball right up and in the middle of the plate, and Encarnacion just continues to swing a hot bat.
Well, there are smiles now throughout the dugout, and rightly so. They tied it 2. Vernon Wells looking for back-to-back-to-back. Back-to-back has now been accomplished 5 times this year. And Wells smokes this one to right field. Here's Montañez. Oh, came up a little short. Well, keep watching, fans. We're now only one home run away from awarding a lucky contestant a 52-inch Sharp Aquos LCD TV with LED backlight and Blu-ray disc player. Aquos LED, the evolution of LCD TV continues. To enter and find out more, please visit the website hitahomerunwithsharp.ca. Nice try by Vernon Wells as he tries to string a third consecutive home run. The last back-to-back home runs came right here at home against the Baltimore Orioles when Wells and Rios connected off rookie Jason Birkin. August the 7th, grounded to third, and that will do it. Barajas grounds out, but Hill and Encarnacion hit a pair of solo shots. For Hill, his 33rd. Encarnacion, his 5th as a J. He's really starting to heat up. And those long balls tie this game at 2. Canada Trust Comfort Zone, and it's often nice to find some familiar faces and good friends. And tonight we see the voices of the Toronto Raptors. Eric Smith on your left, Paul Jones on your right, courtesy of TD Canada Trust. Gentlemen, nice to see you.
Nice to be here, Jamie.
Yeah, great to be here.
Good seats, eh?
I could get used to this.
See, I'm just happy to be here, and Eric's like, I could get used to this. That's his way of saying, invite us back again. I'll say it too, invite us back again.
Well, listen, I got to bring this up because you guys are the voices of the Raptors on the Fan 590, and you happen to show up at the ballpark on the night a former NBA player is pitching for the Orioles. Are you kidding me? As that one is popped high in the air down the line. Here's Snyder coming in. He's there with McDonald. There's one away.
Well,
did you guys know that Hendrickson was pitching?
No,
tonight?
we were just hoping that old, washed-up basketball people could get into baseball, right?
We were just talking about that, though, Jamie, last inning with a couple of friends that are sitting here with us as well. The fact that I think Jonesy was calling the games. I was more covering the games at the time, but the Raptors' first season in the league and Hendrickson playing for the Philadelphia 76ers. So it ties in beautifully for us.
So you have both seen him play basketball.
Yeah, we know what? Have seen him actually on tape, but have seen him cover or attempt to cover some dude named Jordan that just went into the Hall of Fame last week.
What did you think of his induction speech? If you heard it.
Could have been a little more PC, I think.
I did hear it, and it wasn't, as Eric says, it wasn't quite politically correct. But, you know, that's Michael, and he's always kind of marched to his own drummer. And, you know, he said whatever it takes to be competitive, and you got an example of it there. Yeah,
I think he hinted at a comeback, too, as we look at Ty Wigginton, who is batting for the Orioles here. The DH singled to center field in the second inning. Our guests from the TD Canada Trust Comfort Zone, Paul Jones and Eric Smith, the voices of the Toronto Raptors on the Fan 590, and they're watching Brian Talbot go to work. That one is popped up. In comes Millar, and he makes the grab close enough to you guys. You could have probably reached out and gotten that one.
Actually, that looks like one of my hits.
Hey, Jonesy's got the glove here tonight, Jamie, though. Jonesy brought the glove with him. So I said I'd just throw him in front of me if something comes down the first baseline here.
We see the glove there, Paul. Did your grandfather hand that one off to you?
No, actually, Scott Carson did. Suni, as I often nicknamed him, and that's where he got the nickname, and that's a story for off air. But
okay.
He used to say that when we played on our softball team that 2/3 of the earth was covered by water, and he had the other third. So he had range, Mr. Carson, you know.
Hey, are you?
I'm not so sure how much I'm believing that, but hey, Ray Hendrickson, you've seen him play basketball and now pitch here tonight. Which is his better sport?
Let's say he's a better baseball player than Jordan was.
You know what, Rance? I thought that at 6'8", and he was one of the first kind of waves of guys that were taking their game as a big guy to the outside. He had a decent touch from about 15 to 17 feet, and which would have been perfect in today's game. And I think maybe he gave up on it too soon. Yeah, wrong era. Yeah.
Well, here is the pitch to Lou Montañez, and that one's over your heads and out of play. Eric, I'll start with you on this question. The Raptors this year, playoffs, no playoffs?
I think this is definitely a playoff team, Jamie. I look at the standings and say, all right, Cleveland, Orlando, Boston, they're still the cream of the crop in the East. But you look at that next tier, Atlanta, Toronto, Washington, Chicago, Detroit, Miami, that kind of mix of teams. To me, there's no reason why Toronto can't be talking about being a 4th or 5th seed in the Eastern Conference.
Paul?
Exactly. I mean, Eric said it best. They're in that group, and you have to concede. To me, I think Boston is still the cream of the East if Kevin Garnett's healthy, in spite of what Cleveland did with O'Neal and Orlando now losing Turkoglu and replacing him with Vince Carter. I still think Toronto's in that group from like 4 to 8 or 9.
Well, it's been a short conversation, but a pleasant one. Guys, thanks for joining us.
Thanks a lot, guys.
Eric Smith and Paul Jones of the Toronto Raptors broadcast team. We thank them for joining us at the TD Canada Trust Comfort Zone. 2-2 here at the Rogers Center. This HD broadcast is presented by Sharp Aquos LED. The evolution of LCD TV continues. A pleasant evening here in Toronto. A little cloudy, but still nice enough to have the roof open as the Orioles and Blue Jays count down the end of the season. After tonight, just 5 more home games remain for the Jays. They'll finish up Sunday against Seattle and hit the road for 6 with stops in Boston and Baltimore. Kevin Millar is the batter. He'll be followed by Ruiz and Snyder. Millar walked in the second and was sent home on the double by Ruiz. He was thrown out on the relay by Isturiz. as he chops the ball foul. It's a ball and 2 strikes here. Rolls that softly to third. Mora's at the line. And the throw is high, but Aubrey comes down with it. Touches the bag in time, and Millar is gone. And now it's Randy Ruiz's turn. He grounds to third. Mora steps in and throws him out. The Orioles took the lead in the top of the 3rd inning. 2 runs on 4 hits. But Toronto got it back and quickly in the bottom half with back-to-back shots. Aaron Hill, his 33rd. And Edwin Encarnacion, his 5th as a member of the Blue Jays. With 2 down, here's Travis Snyder, who walked his last time up. Do you envision this young man starting the year at the major league level next year? Or is that hard to forecast right now?
The only way that he would not start with the big club next year is if he just has a very, very poor spring and they think that he needs to go back to AAA for some, with the opportunity to play every day and refine his skills.
He's talking a little more often during the games with both Gene Tennis and Cito Gaston. Initially, he wasn't that comfortable with in-game instruction, but he's opened up a little bit. As the 1-2 is grounded to the right side, Aubrey is there. His pitcher covers and gets there before Snyder. A 1-2-3-4. After 4, we're tied at 2. You're watching Blue Jays baseball on Rogers Sportsnet. Served over 12,000 kids this year, providing programs, support, and access in the areas of education, physical activity, and life skills development. If you'd like to learn more and support the Jays Care Foundation, please visit bluejays.com/jayscare for more information. Here we go to the 5th inning. Michael Aubrey, the left-handed batter, stepping in for the Orioles. The pitch from Brian Talent is high. And we say hello to those of you who've decided to spend part of your evening with us. I'm Jamie Campbell with Rance Mullenix and Sam Cosentino. Here's the 1-0 pitch, and Aubrey lifts it in the air and out of play. We'd like to send out a happy belated 85th birthday tonight to Doris Moore, who's watching in St. Catharines, Ontario. Doris turned 85 last Wednesday and checks in watching the Blue Jays every night on Rogers Sportsnet. As Aubrey swings and grounds it foul, it's 1-2. As he awaits the next pitch, let's bring in our esteemed colleague, Sam Cosentino. Sam?
Well, Jimmy, Michael Aubrey, not the prototypical power corner guy, but Dave Tremblay wants him in the lineup to play defense, especially with some of the young pitching that Baltimore is throwing out here in the latter stages of the season. As you saw last inning, 2 fine plays, 1 an assist, 1 on the putout. So he's in the lineup specifically for that reason. Looking forward to next year, Baltimore looking at someone like Luke Scott with more of the power numbers to play first.
Well, here's Talent kicking on the 2-2, and it's out of play down the third base side. We mentioned this last night. This is the team to be with if you're looking for opportunity. Aubrey for years could not crack the Cleveland Indians lineup, but he got traded here to Baltimore in June, and within a few months was in the big leagues. He waves at that one. Barajas claims the ball, and it's a strikeout, and that's the first for Talent tonight. Well, it brings up Cesar Izturis, and he is the shortstop. And you know, we talk often about the high water mark for the Blue Jays, May 19th this year, when they'd swept the White Sox in 4 and found themselves 3.5 up on first place in the American League East. And we know it hasn't been a great season. Well, here's how bad it actually has been. If you take away everything that happened before May 19th, the Blue Jays have the worst record in the American League. It's been downhill ever since. They swept the White Sox in 4 on that date. Took off for Boston. And that became a 9-game losing streak. All 9 of them on the road. They dropped all 3 in Boston, 3 in Atlanta, and then 3 in Baltimore. And in great heartbreaking fashion, too, an extra innings loss in the final game of the series at Camden Yards, the 9th loss in a row, at a time when Aaron Hill had hit an extra innings home run and given them a 2-run lead. But Nolan Reimold spoiled all of that against Jesse Carlson later in the game. As this ball is hit, a tough hop there, but played nicely by McDonald. He's got Izturis. You know, the downfall rants shouldn't be all that surprising, because a lot of people in spring training, knowing that the rotation was going to consist of Roy Halladay as the number 1, Jesse Litch as the number 2, and a whole bunch of question marks after that. And then when Litch went out in early April, it's hard to fathom young pitchers like Ricky Romero and Scott Richmond leading this club to a division title at that time.
Just too many injuries and too much inexperience at the major league level, and that's exactly what happened to the ball club. And important to remember that the offense also got off to a very good start. And if you recall, especially with runners in scoring position, they were outstanding early on. And they weren't playing the tough ball clubs either. The early part of their schedule was pretty soft.
Talent, the 1-1 pitch. Roberts fouls it away. When they led the division by 3.5, there were some who were thinking, my goodness, what a surprising bunch these Blue Jays. A young rotation, inexperienced rotation beyond Halladay. And it piqued a lot of interest. But it's a long, long season as Roberts flies to center field. And Talent comes up with a 1-2-3 fifth. McDonald, Bautista, and Hill to bat when we continue in the bottom half of the inning. and you receive a $50 SMS discount coupon from Rogers. Use the coupon toward the purchase of a new BlackBerry Bold or Curve 8900 smartphone from Rogers at any Wireless Wave T-Booth retail location throughout Canada. Here is John McDonald, tonight's starting shortstop. Playing again in place of Marcos Scudero. And here is McDonald lifting a fly ball to center field, aggressively going after the first pitch as he did in the second, and he flies out to center field. After watching Scudero before the game today limp out to second base for the team photo, it's hard to envision him, Rance, playing again this year. I don't know why there's a big secret over his playing status. There aren't many games remaining, and Scudero didn't look entirely comfortable walking on his own.
No.
As in, no, he won't play the rest of the year.
No, I've had the injury, and I don't see any way that he can return this year.
Yanked by Bautista, sailing up into the second level and foul.
I think it's nice. You know,
oh, nice grab.
As Marcos Scudero, as it turned out, he scored 100 runs. And he, as we got well into the season, it became apparent that he was going to score 100 or better. So for me, he's had a tremendous year. He ends up with 100 right on the nose. And I'm glad that he was able to accomplish that prior to the injury.
Down the line, a diving stab made by Mora. Here's the throw, and they get him. Melvin Mora, outstanding. And credit to the first baseman Aubrey, too, for picking the ball.
Great play by Mora, diving to one knee, quick snap throw, and a nice play on the back end by Aubrey. And that's some of that defense that Dave Tremblay was talking about. It's a tough pick because it's an in-between hop. It's not the short one or the long one, and a nice job to record the out.
Strike one to Hill, who now needs just one more run driven in for 100 on the season. After he hit a solo shot in the third, his 33rd home run this year. 33 home runs puts him fourth in the American League, behind Jason Bay, Mark Teixeira, and the inactive Carlos Pena. He's out for the year. With another RBI, Hill could join a crew of 7 with at least 100. Teixeira leading the way with 118 for the Yankees.
And Aaron Hill with a chance to score 100 runs himself. 93 after the home run tonight.
That was his stated goal in spring training, in fact, as he grounds out here. Hendrickson got a little help from his third baseman, and after 5, we're tied at 2. day here in Toronto, but that might change by Sunday for the home hardware fleece blanket giveaway. 10,000 of these will be handed out to those coming through the turnstiles here at the Rogers Center as the Blue Jays play their final home game, and that is Sunday when Seattle's here. In fact, Brian Talent will make the start that day up against Ryan Rowland-Smith, a left-hander. Through 5, Hendrickson and Talent tied at 2. PA grounds that right between Talent's legs, but McDonald can't come up with a baseball.
With the speed of PA, probably not going to be able to throw him out. The ball was hit right back through the box, and you can see the quick exchange, just trying to make a very quick snap throw and unable to come up cleanly. But with that man's speed, he was probably going to be safe anyway.
Man at first, and Matt Wieters the batter. He's 1 for 2. Wieters belts this to left field. And it is played by Wells. PA with great speed comes home. The Orioles have a 3-2 lead on the double and an RBI by Wieters.
Just a fastball that he goes down and drives. Looked initially as if the ball might leave the ballpark. And based upon what we've seen last night and tonight, and he hasn't looked real good against something other than a fastball. The curveball gave him a lot of trouble last night, and he's took some funny swings at some changeups this evening, but when he's gotten a fastball, Wieters has hit it for the most part hard.
He looks around at second as Talent deals with Luke Scott here. Nobody out in the 6th. Baltimore has taken the lead. And Scott is 0 for 2.
Well, guys, Nick Markakis hit in the cleanup spot for Dave Tremblay yesterday and has, in fact, played in all 150 games coming into tonight, starting 149 of them. Second game, he hasn't started all year, but Dave Tremblay said he is available, wanted to give him a rest, and should an RBI situation present itself late in the game, he would be the first option off the bench.
And a good guy to have coming off that bench, too, as Markakis leads the club with 94 RBIs. 1-2 here is the count. And he freely admits that he has really had a tough time at the plate the last few weeks. Markakis, for the most part, has become the face of the franchise, too, in recent times.
And some of those struggles at the plate could be related to the fact that he has played in every ball game, and as Sam mentioned, started 149. Could be a little tired, a little worn down. You know, Markakis is not a big physical man. And you get a little tired, the bat slows down a bit.
Two and two. Talent comes with a changeup in the dirt. And so it's a full count here on Luke Scott. You've got Melvin Mora on deck for the Orioles. Baltimore's now 30 games under 500, dropping their 90th game last night to 60 victories. The 3-2 pitch, and he gets a swing out of Scott and strikes out.
It looked like a 3-2 changeup, and he gets Scott to chase it out of the strike zone, and a big out, because not only did he able to strike him out, but prevent him from moving the runner over to third in this particular situation.
Look at Talent showing surprise, perhaps amusement at the option thrown down by Barajas.
It's something you don't hear it talked about very often, but something a manager can do over the course of the year that will help himself and his ball club is periodically, from time to time, with your everyday players, give them a day off so you keep them strong. Sometimes that's hard to do because, you know, guys playing well or the ball club may be struggling and you want to have your best players in the ball game. Sometimes you just have to force yourself to say, I'm not going to play, in this case, Markakis today. Maybe even a situation where I'm not going to use him at all unless I just absolutely have to.
It's got to be tough for a manager to do, though, when that player, and really that's been the case with Marcos Scutaro all year before his injury, is so productive every single game, it seems. How tough it must be to just leave Scutaro, for example, out of the lineup when you know he's going to get on base, you know he's going to create a little havoc.
That's why it's difficult. You have to discipline yourself to do it. The first manager that I ever played for that did it was Bobby Cox, and typically what he liked to do is, if you had a Sunday afternoon game with Monday being a day off, so you weren't going to play again until Tuesday, is whoever the player was that he was going to give Sunday off, he would call him in, tell him before the game on Saturday that tomorrow you're not going to play unless there's, you know, it's unavoidable. We have to run you out there at some point. Which in essence meant, first of all, it did a couple of things, because it let the player know, I just go give my best effort tonight. Tomorrow I can relax. I don't have to worry about getting prepared to play for tomorrow's ball game. And if, in essence, going to basically get 3 days off because you play Saturday night and you don't play again until Tuesday night, you really get a lot of good rest. And Bobby Cox was the first that I ever played for that would do that type of thing.
Swing and a miss from Mora, and there he goes. A couple of strikeouts here from Talent, and timely ones at that, with Weeder standing at second.
You got Scott with a changeup in here, one of the few breaking balls that he has thrown tonight, and he strikes out Melvin Mora. So after a rough start, Jamie, Brian Talent has bounced back, and the last two hitters, one more, get out of the inning without any more damage.
Ty Wigginton, the batter now. He's the DH, and it's low for a ball. This half of the inning started with an infield single by PA. Wieters hit a blast deep to left center field and doubled in PA. Baltimore's on top 3-2. But Scott and Mora have now struck out. Wigginton with a 1-0. And he drives this changeup into center field, a base hit. Rounding third, Wieters, no throw from Wells, and it's now 4-2, a two-out RBI single by Wigginton.
And a hit like this would really gives your club a lift, because you had a runner in scoring position with nobody out, back-to-back strikeouts, and then Wigginton with a two-out hit. And hits like that drive in runs give the ball club a lift.
Montañez pops it up. And the ball heads for the seats, takes a wild hop. That poor gal just got crushed by the guy trying to get to the ball. The 2 runs are to the benefit of Mark Hendrickson, who has not won a game as a starting pitcher since he beat Tampa Bay on April the 10th. And now Montañez flies to center. Wells makes the catch. And that ends the top of the 6th inning as the Orioles score twice on 3 hits, and they lead. Every time a Blue Jay hits a home run in the 6th inning, one lucky contestant wins a 40-inch Sharp Aquos LCD TV with LED backlight. The innovators of LCD TV now bring you their best picture yet. Aquos LED, the evolution of LCD TV continues. To enter and find out more, please visit hitahomerunwithsharp.ca. And the Blue Jays, in fact, have hit a pair of them so far. Solo shots from Hill and Encarnacion in the 3rd inning. Four to 2 Baltimore. Strike 1 from Hendrickson. Hendrickson deals the soft stuff inside, and he gets a swing from Encarnacion. Wells is on deck. Barajas in the hole for the Blue Jays here as they trail Baltimore 4-2. The 2-2 pitch is high. This series wraps up tomorrow night. Scott Richmond takes the mound for the Blue Jays. Jeremy Guthrie for Baltimore. And once again, we'll have the game for you, 7 Eastern time, 4 Pacific, here on Rogers Sportsnet. The payoff from the big lefty, grounded softly to short. Esturris makes the play, and Encarnacion is gone. He's 1 for 3. Wells chases that one. And he falls behind 0-1. His last home run came a week ago Saturday in Detroit against Edwin Jackson. Hendrickson tonight has given up 2. In fact, no team gives up more home runs in the American League than the Baltimore Orioles. In fact, it's not even close. As he shakes off a couple here and then sets for the 1-1. Here's the pitch. This one's hit in the air down the left field line. Scott in the corner. He's running out of room, and he's got it, reaching over the rail and making the grab. Wells has gone with a second out.
Nice job by Scott. Ball stayed in the air for a long time, so plenty of time to find the wall and make the catch. But a nice play.
Well, here's proof. 198 home runs surrendered this year by the Orioles. And I guess that comes with the territory when you've got young pitchers like Chris Tillman and Jason Birkin.
And the ballpark that they play in, at least their home games.
Which tells you why the Yankees have certainly given up their share. Here's Mora. And a nice play at first as they throw out Barajas. And Hendrickson gets a 1-2-3 sixth.
Brought
downtown Toronto. What a sight as the Blue Jays host the Orioles on a terrific night for ball. The season begins to wind down. This is game number 151 of 162 for the Blue Jays. Here at Rogers Center, they've won 6 and lost 1 against Baltimore this year. And they'll see them again next week, in fact. On Friday, October the 2nd, the Jays begin their last series of the year down at Camden Yards, a 3-game set. And then it's playoff baseball on Rogers Sportsnet right through to the end of the World Series. Aubrey rips this ball into right field, and it bounces out of play. He's got a double, and that's 2 for him tonight.
He hits the ball right off the end of its bat, but in a perfect spot, just inside the right field line. And Bautista, the right fielder, not playing him to pull, so no chance to get over and make the catch.
Just his 5th double at the major league level this year, but second tonight as Esturras shoots this one in the direction of Hill. That advances the runner as Esturras is out. And there's one away in the 7th inning. There's Roberts again. He has a pair of singles. One of them drove in a run, as he was able to cash Aubrey from second base with his 3rd inning single, but he was tagged out after he slid over the bag at second. Aubrey at 3rd. Infield in a 4-2 game here. Tallett's pitch count is still a very reasonable 89, but that said, there is action in the Blue Jays bullpen as Jesse Carlson has started to throw.
This is a situation where Tallett most certainly would like to use his changeup, keep it down in the strike zone, maybe get a weak ground ball.
And he does, and that's a fair ball. It just touched the bag at first. Bautista with the throw to second, and he stays in the bag this time. And that is a major league record double for Brian Roberts, the most ever in a single season by a switch hitter. He now has 55. And it's also apparently the end of the line for Brian Tallett.
There's a good pitch from Brian Tallett, a changeup that was down. He got what he wanted, a ground ball that wasn't hit real hard, but again, in a perfect spot right over the bag at first base. And of course, with the drawn in infield, Kevin Millar unable to make a play.
Well, here comes Jesse Carlson. We'll address his numbers when we continue on Rogers Sportsnet. And Brian Roberts' double cashes a 5th run for the Orioles. So Cito Gaston takes out Brian Tallett and calls in Jesse Carlson, who appears in his 70th game this season. Carlson, a 28-year-old from Kensington, Connecticut, in his 2nd year with the Blue Jays. Will face Felix P.A. here, the number 2 hitter. And starts him with a strike. 5-2 in favor of the Orioles. P.A., for his part, has hit into a double play. hit a sacrifice fly to center field, and that scored Izturis. He's also singled and scored, so he's been a big part of this game, and he bounces that one past Millar. Up with it Bautista, and Roberts wisely held at third. A two-hit night for PA.
He also has a sacrifice fly. And Carlson, lefty versus lefty. Actually, left-handers coming into tonight's ball game hit Carlson at 257 clip. Right-handers 245.
He's making his second appearance since the suspension. He was suspended by Major League Baseball for 3 games after the incident in New York in which Carlson threw behind Jorge Posada and then had Posada brush him on the way past into the Yankee dugout. Carlson turned around and they exchanged words, and next thing you know, the dugout's empty. He gets a strike here on Wieters Rants. A lot of people reacting to what Carlson did said, good on you, it's about time, because at the time the Blue Jays were getting hit frequently by a lot of different pitchers, most of them Yankee pitchers. Swing and a miss, 1-2.
Most certainly earned himself a lot of respect from his manager, his teammates. And as you mentioned, Jamie, he's been a workhorse for the Jays this year.
Wieters sends this high in the air to right field. Bautista comes in. And once again, he's got that great arm, so Roberts is stuck at third.
This makes the 70th appearance for Jesse Carlson tonight. That leads the ball club and is 5th in the AL in appearances. But it's interesting, I was talking to Cito Gaston, he said, you know, no one told him to do it. He just decided himself that he had seen enough, and when he came into the ball game in New York, when the catcher Posada came to the plate,
bounced off the plate right to Millar. He touches the bag and gets Scott and ends the top of the 7th. The Orioles add another and lead 5-2. It is time for the Game in a Flash, brought to you by Toyota. More for you on now at your local Toyota dealer. France, unlike last night, this one is late and in favor of the Orioles, who have really jumped on the back of Mark Hendrickson. Just 68 pitches required. And he gave up the 2 home runs, yes. But what a nice effort by Hendrickson. Man, he'll only throw 68 pitches because there is right-hander Matt Albers. He takes over and faces Kevin Millar, runs one in at the letters. 1-0. It's a little surprising that manager Dave Tremblay would yank Hendrickson after just 6 innings of work and only 68 pitches thrown. Consider that Hendrickson, in 4 of the 6 innings he pitched, needed only 10 pitches or less.
He gave up just 4 hits in tonight's ball game, but some of that could be the result of the fact that he hasn't been a starter all year long. He's pitched both as a starter and out of the bullpen, so the arm strength maybe not up to throwing effectively 85, 90 pitches in a ball game.
In the 3rd inning, Edwin Encarnacion hit a solo home run, and that one followed a shot by Aaron Hill. And since then, Hendrickson was able to retire 11 straight, as that's yanked foul by Millar. So as much as the Blue Jays felt enlivened by a pair of home runs in the 3rd inning, he shut them down until exiting the game, and now Albers is in there here in the bottom of the 7th inning. Albers gets strike 3. Millar is gone. And that is the first strikeout by a Baltimore pitcher in tonight's game.
Kevin Millar obviously thought the ball was a little inside off the plate. And of course the camera angle from center field it's really hard to tell from that angle if the ball actually was on the inside corner.
Randy Ruiz is 1 for 2. You be the judge.
It looked like it was just off the plate from that angle.
Well, from what we've seen of Ruiz, he comes in the Matt Stairs mold. He does not get cheated, does he?
No, he takes a healthy hack, that's for sure.
I cannot remember seeing a soft swing from this guy. As he tries to make an impression on the Blue Jays here with an opportunity to play most nights after winning the most valuable player award in the Pacific Coast League, even though he was summoned in mid-August. He goes down swinging. Back-to-back strikeouts here for Albers. Here's Snyder again. He walked in the 2nd inning and grounded out to first base in the 4th. Snyder got into 24 games with the Blue Jays last season, his first in the major leagues, and ended the year hitting .301 with a pair of home runs and 13 RBIs. Promoted on the 29th of August last year after the Blue Jays had designated and then traded Matt Stairs to the Philadelphia Phillies. Goes after the breaking ball and misses 1-2. And he had some big days with the Jays last year. 5 RBIs at Fenway Park. A lot of promise in young Travis Snyder as he rips that foul. But this year, it's fair to say, has been a year of learning. And there have been many lessons.
And he had to deal with a back injury while he was in AAA. So it's been a learning experience.
He didn't take that demotion to AAA very well, but on the other hand, you probably wouldn't want a player to.
No, but it is important to understand that sometimes you need to go back down and figure some things out and maybe make some changes.
They essentially sent him down to find his swing.
And let's not forget, Adam Lind had to go back to the minor leagues for a period of time after a quick start here at the major league level. Then he struggled. Carlos Delgado had to go back after, again, kind of a quick start, but had to go back AAA for some more work. So did Vernon Wells. So it happens to a lot of players, and you don't want to take it personally. Realize that the ball club feels they're doing what is best for you and your career.
3 balls and 2 strikes, 2 gone. Here's the payoff from Albers, and it hits the pitcher, who comes off the mound quickly, and it's an infield single. Snyder is aboard safely after Albers is forced to give up on the ball. On a bullet like that, he'd be better served wearing goalie pads.
The ball was hit very hard. Looked like it hit him on the back of his right leg. Travis Snyder in his last at bat last night, prior to that he had struck out 3 times, but he came through with a bases loaded single to center field. And coming into this at bat, had not done anything here in this ball game tonight, but gets himself a base hit. Now he's had back-to-back ball games with a hit. Maybe he can build on that and finish up on a positive here in 09.
Strike 1 to John McDonald.
Albers, it looks as if he likes to sink that ball, run it in on the hands of the right-handed hitters, and then throw a breaking ball. He's got pretty good, what looks like a slider. That has good tilt.
He's chomping on that gum and looking for a strikeout here of John McDonald, with Snyder at first, 2 gone in the 7th inning. Albers sets, kicks and fires, and he got it. A foul tip caught by Wieters, and he strikes at the side. So Brandon League makes his way out of the bullpen, and he'll face
put you in the comfort zone. Log on to BlueJays.com for your chance to win an all-expense-paid trip to see the Jays in comfort. TD Canada Trust, putting you in the comfort zone.
There's Brandon League. He comes into the ball game, last appearing for the Blue Jays Saturday in Tampa Bay's 4-0 win. However, League in the 8th was able to strike out Ibar and Kapler, a clean 1-2-3. He follows Jesse Carlson, and there's, based on looking at both men, there's little question that the Blue Jays bullpen leads the league in tattoos. League is well painted. Carlson is too. This is a very artful pen here in Toronto. Melvin Mora is the hitter, 0 for 3. Grounded down the line and past Encarnacion into the corner. Snyder plays it. Mora's into second. And boy, we've seen our share of doubles from the Orioles so far tonight.
Well, Encarnacion playing in, respecting the bunt. The ball was hit hard. Probably if he's back in his normal position would not have been able to make a play. You know, talking about tattoos, I'm waiting for the day that somebody, and it will probably happen, will have eye black tattooed underneath his eyes.
And the challenge from Rance Mulliniks goes out.
It's going to happen.
There's a tapper to third. Encarnacion charges the ball, goes to first, and they get Wigginton. That keeps Mora at second. 6 doubles so far tonight for the Orioles after Mora gets the 2-bagger. You know, I'll mention that to Brandon and to Jesse and see if either one of them is at all interested.
Nice play by Encarnacion, and really poor base running by Mora. As the runner off of second base, you see a third baseman have to charge a ball that's hit very slow like that. You know you can move over to third base, no problem. Maybe he was standing down there at second base enjoying that double instead of thinking about running the bases. Because right here at this point, the ball's hit slowly. The third baseman has to charge very hard. And if he breaks right away, no problem to move over to third base.
Well, here's Montañez. 1-1. Back in 2000, Montañez was the 3rd overall pick in the amateur draft by the Chicago Cubs. As he rolls that one past a diving Millar into right field, and Mora stops at third.
Well, Juan Samuel, the third base coach for the Baltimore Orioles, shows a lot of respect here for the arm of Bautista. Bautista had to range over to his left to cut the ball off. But immediately, Juan Samuel had the stop sign up.
Aubrey is coming up. He has doubled twice and scored twice, 2 for 3. Runs it inside. That 2000 draft was headlined by the #1 overall pick, Adrian Gonzalez, then taken by Florida. He now hits a ton of home runs with the San Diego Padres. To this point, 39 on the season. As that's grounded to Hill. He turns for second for one. Over to first, a double play. We'll touch on the number of double plays Hill's been involved in when we continue on Sportsnet. At-home play of the game presented by Burger King, home of the Whopper. And for it, we take you back to the second inning. Randy Ruiz at the dish, Hendrickson on the hill, and he knocks this one to left center field. Extra bases for Ruiz. Millar sees the sign there from Nick Leyva. He's waved home, and the throw is on the money. He is thrown out by Asturias, preventing the Blue Jays from scoring the game's opening run. That is the at-home play of the game. Visit BlueJays.com to register for a chance to win prizes with the Burger King Superfan Contest. Time is running out here for the Blue Jays, down 5-2 in game number 2 tonight on Rogers Sportsnet. Danny Baez is the new man on the hill for the Orioles, and he gets a rolling ball out of Bautista, but it rolls foul, so Bautista gets another chance. Top of the order here for the Jays as they face the veteran Baez.
Baez at one time with an outstanding arm. Throw 95, 96, 97 miles an hour with a very good split finger fastball to go with it.
That's fouled out of play. There are enough empty seats here that a whole bunch of people have to run after that ball in one of the sections in the 200 level. 11,869 is the paid attendance as this ball grounded to Roberts, and he throws out Bautista by a step. Now Aaron Hill has established a very interesting record with his most recent double play involvement. That came after Aubrey grounded that ball to him in the top of this inning. With that, Hill has now been part of 117 double plays. That's the most all-time in baseball history among second basemen with at least 30 home runs, as he passes Joe Gordon. And oh, Hill takes it in the shoulder from Baez. Down he goes, and off he goes to first. Rance, we've seen this kind of thing a lot.
A little too often as far as Aaron Hill is concerned, but again, he turns the correct way, away from the pitch, and it hits him off his left shoulder.
Now that is scary. He came dangerously close, and look at the reaction from Mora. And we've already seen this year Randy Ruiz take that pitch from Josh Towers on the left cheek. And thankfully, Ruiz was barely injured, and Hill can forge a smile.
There was no intention. He wasn't throwing at Aaron Hill, just trying to, just a fastball that got away from him. But as often as it's happened to the Blue Jays, especially over the last 3 or 4 weeks, it does get old.
Now Mora pays a visit. By the way, that man that Hill passed in that double play category was just recently inducted into the Baseball Hall of Fame. Joe Gordon, who had 116 double plays in 1940 with the Yankees and a 30 home run season. So congratulations to Hill. I'm not sure he's aware of this kind of a record, because there seem to be records for pretty well everything in baseball. Just goes to show you what kind of year he's having. 2-0 as Baez throws the pitch to Encarnacion, and this ball is laced. It is not coming back. A 2-run shot for Edwin Encarnacion, and the Blue Jays are within 1.
After tonight, there's no question that this man has 25 to 30 home run type power, and this ball got out of here in a hurry. Has that, Yeah, he has that special sound that the true power hitters possess.
One ball and one strike on Wells. 5-4 is the score. It's not so comfortable now. And we'd like to present another Rogers Fast Fact, brought to you by Canada's fastest mobile network, 3 times faster than any other. Since 2002, 96 RBIs for Wells against the Orioles. Only Alex Rodriguez has more. Two and two here. Wells is 0 for 3 tonight. Trying to follow up Encarnacion's shot. A bouncer to short. Esturras is there. Wells has gone 2 out. Well, thanks to that home run by Encarnacion, one lucky contestant is taking home a 52-inch Sharp Aquos LCD TV with LED backlight and Blu-ray disc player. Aquos LED, the evolution of LCD TV continues. To see if you have won and to enter, please visit hitahomerunwithsharp.ca. Rod Barajas is 0 for 3. He steps in with 2 out in the 8th inning. I think a lot of people, Rance, when they got a glimpse of Encarnacion as a Blue Jay for the first 3 or 4 weeks, were wondering about his ability. He wasn't hitting very well. Certainly wasn't hitting for power. Certainly wasn't Scott Rowland defensively at third base, as that's rolled foul. And, you know, the Blue Jays have him under contract through next season, and some might have thought, are we going to employ this guy at third base next year? But now you can see why he had a very good season power-wise with the Cincinnati Reds last season.
Yeah, he had some health problems this year over at Cincinnati. He comes over here, he gets injured, he's out for a while. But now he's back in the lineup, and he's found his groove.
This is rolled to third. Mora picks it up, throws to first, gets Barajas, and ends the 8th inning. But the Blue Jays score 2 more, thanks to Encarnacion. And it's the Orioles 5, the Blue Jays 4, as we roll into the 9th inning here at the Rogers Center in Toronto. This Rogers Center surrounded by condominiums in downtown Toronto. And a few of those people who live around here likely in attendance tonight as the Blue Jays are behind by 1 against the Orioles, and they bring in Jeremy Accardo. And he's got that metallic blue glove, custom made by Nike, and steps in here, 9th inning of play, and the number 9 hitter, Cesar Izturis. Accardo pitching in his 24th game. No record on the year, but a 2.75 ERA. 12 of his last 14 appearances have been scoreless as Izturis flies to center. 1 out.
Another stat about Jeremy Accardo that really jumps out is the fact that left-handed hitters coming into this ball game this evening hitting 133 against him. Right-handers 368.
Isn't that something?
You would think it would be the reverse. He's a right-hander that throws hard. His ball will sink and run into a right-handed hitter. And of course he has a good split finger fastball.
There's a strike. Roberts has 3 hits tonight, 2 singles and a double. And his double, at least the ball used for it, is a keepsake now. It's his 55th this year, the most doubles ever in a major league season by a switch hitter. He gets jammed, fouls it away.
Over the last 5 or 6 years, it'd be interesting to know what his average doubles per year are, because he is a doubles machine.
Well, he's just the 4th player in Major League history with 3 or more 50 double years, as that's high. The other 3, Tris Speaker did it 5 times. Paul Wainer and the man, Stan Musial, did it 3 times each. And all 3 of those players are in the Hall of Fame. As he goes after this one, flies to left field. Snyder has to go back into the corner and pulls it down in front of the track.
Well, Travis Snyder has demonstrated that he's a good defensive outfielder, either in left or over in right. Gets very good jumps and moves around quite well.
Here comes Felix P.A. And Rance, in the last little while, we've seen why the Chicago Cubs at one point were so high on this young man. As he rolls that one down the line and foul. He took one away in center field from John McDonald in last night's game on a ball I personally didn't think he was going to catch up to.
No, just blazing speed enabled him to run it down. But it's just a question of, does he hit enough to play every day? Because no doubt he can be an outstanding defensive outfielder, potentially a big-time base stealer.
That's fouled back. Perhaps he just fell out of favor with Lou Piniella in Chicago. Lord knows Milton Bradley just recently fell out of favor with the entire Cubs organization. He's been shut down for the rest of the year, and he's entirely healthy too. Here's Accardo setting for the 1-2 pitch. Strike 3 called. Down goes PA. Accardo with a 1-2-3 ninth. The Blue Jays head for the bottom half. Millar scheduled to lead off, down by 1.
TD Canada Trust, putting you in the comfort zone.
When this game concludes, Sportsnet Connected comes your way, and they will provide some highlights of exhibition play. The defending Stanley Cup champion Penguins taking on the Maple Leafs tonight. New York Giants Plaxico Burress off to jail for 2 years. What an intriguing story there. Jim Johnson comes on to try and close out the Blue Jays here in the bottom of the ninth. 5-4 in favor of the Orioles. And a pinch hitter for Kevin Millar. Lyle Overbay steps in, taps the plate, and takes ball 1. Back here at Rogers Center, I'm Jamie Campbell with Rance Mullenix and Sam Cosentino. As the Blue Jays, thanks to the 2-run shot in the 8th by Encarnacion, need a run to tie and 2 to win. And game 2. They'll wrap up the series tomorrow night here on Sportsnet as Scott Richmond goes for the Blue Jays, Jeremy Guthrie for the Orioles. Here's the right-hander Johnson. He gets a swing and a miss from Overbay. That's down low. The president of baseball operations for the Orioles is Andy MacPhail, and he admitted publicly that when they traded George Sherrill to the Dodgers, as Johnson gets the strikeout, 1 gone, there would be some short-term pain for the Orioles bullpen, and that has certainly proven true. Here's Johnson, their closer. In 49 games since Sherrill was traded, the Orioles have surrendered 93 runs in the 7th inning or later. And that's something the Blue Jays experienced when B.J. Ryan was let go and Scott Downs experienced an injury on a couple of occasions, in fact, as roles change in the bullpen as Adam Lynn steps in as a pinch hitter. Yeah. Guys have to move up into more important roles, and there's an effect.
In essence, what happens is some pitchers in the bullpen get put into a role that they're not comfortable with, and that changes the.
Well, there is a base hit for Lind as he pounds it off of Johnson's shoe, and he's on board here with 1 out in the 9th.
It also shows you the importance or the difference that a closer makes when you have the sure thing down in the bullpen. Looked like a breaking ball that stays up just a little bit, and Adam Lind right back through the box with it, and it looked like it hit Johnson up on his calf.
Based on that thud, I thought it might have been the shoe, but that certainly hit flesh. So the tying run is on, and here is Snyder lacing one into left field, and it gets Fiorentino quickly. So Snyder comes up with a base hit, pushing the tying run into scoring position, and the winning run at first base.
And his second base hit tonight, he gets a fastball and goes with it beautifully and drives it hard into left field.
There's the new left fielder, Jeff Fiorentino. He takes over for Luke Scott, and there is Snyder. With his second hit, he's 2 for 3. Lynn now at second base. His base hit pushes his average up to 301. John McDonald goes after the first pitch.
McDonald tonight's been a little bit impatient. He's normally pretty aggressive, but there's a pitch there clearly down and out of the strike zone. You stay off of it, and sometimes it can change the at bat for you.
Here's Johnson setting the 0-2 pitch. Shot foul by McDonald.
And Travis Snyder at first base does run well enough. If a ball is hitting the gap that goes to the wall, he will score off of first base without much problem.
Grounded to the left side and through for a base hit. Lind is stopped at third base, and that loads up the bases. Three straight singles by the Blue Jays here in the ninth inning.
And John McDonald fell behind 0-2, but he battled, finally got a pitch he could handle, and grounds it past the diving Izturis. And the correct call here by Nick Leyva. You're not going to, at this point, run into this out. If there were 2 outs and Lind had have been the tying run, he would have no doubt have sent him.
Well, a chance to be a hero then for Jose Bautista, who has the tying run at third in Adam Lind, the winning run at second in Travis Snyder. There's John McDonald, who pushed the 2 along. Bautista is 1 for 4. He doubled back in the first inning. And he gets hit. This game is tied, and boy, he is in some pain. He takes one for the team here to tie the ball game. My, oh my.
It looked as if it caught him right on the elbow, or maybe just above the left elbow, but he is in a lot of pain. And this, when a pitch is thrown in this location as a hitter, there's just nowhere you can go.
Seems it caught the elbow, Rance. And you could really hear a crack from up here.
It almost sounded as if it hit the bat.
Yeah, I'm not sure how it sounded to you folks watching on television, but that was ugly. Let's listen again. Well, he's going to wave it off, walk down to first. Comforted at least by the fact that he has driven in, if you will, the tying run here to tie the game at 5 in the most painful of way. But he'll give Aaron Hill a chance to win this ball game, and wouldn't this be appropriate? Hill right now is at 99 RBIs on the season. There's no question he'll get to 100 for the first time in his career, but now would be a great time. Bases loaded, one away. Let's see what he can do. And that almost got away from Wieters. The game almost ended right there.
It looks as if Johnson is a little rattled right now. He gave up the 3 consecutive base hits. Then he hits Bautista to tie the game, and this pitch clearly not even close. So if Aaron Hill stays patient, makes him get the ball up in the strike zone, more likely than not, he's going to get the job done.
He swings at that pitch down. It's 1-1. The infield for the Orioles is in. The outfield for the Orioles is in.
And that's the pitch. The ball that's down is the one that Aaron Hill just needs to lay off of. Very good high ball hitter. So really think, make him elevate. Get the ball up.
Trying to complete the comeback. Here's the pitch, and it's fouled down the line. 1-2. Entering the bottom of the 8th, it was 5-2 for the Orioles. But Hill got hit by a pitch and was on base when Encarnacion went deep to make it 5-4. Here in the 9th, Lynn singled, Snyder singled, McDonald singled, Bautista hit in the elbow. Tied at 5. The 1-2 pitch, swing and a miss, and he strikes out. And you could hear Hill from way up here in the broadcast booth.
Something off speed. Maybe a split finger fastball or a changeup with some good movement, and clearly Aaron Hill well out in front of it.
Well, the best man at the plate for the Jays tonight is standing up there now, Encarnacion, with a pair of home runs. Breaking ball in, ball 1. He had a solo shot in the 3rd, his 5th as a Jay. Another one in the 8th, a 2-run job. He's got a favorable count here.
And this is where, as a hitter, you have to discipline yourself. You're ahead 2-0. You know you're probably going to get a fastball, but stay patient. Don't help the pitcher out.
Here's the 2-0. And it's a called strike by Brian O'Nora. Bases loaded here in the 9th inning. Bautista's at first, McDonald at second, Snyder the winning run at 3rd. 2 out and a 2-1 from Johnson. Now 2-2. Wieters sets up. Here's the pitch, and it's fouled back and out of play. And way up there, too. That ball landed in the 5th deck.
They went to the same pitch that he struck Aaron Hill out with. But this one clearly well up in the strike zone. And he's fortunate that Encarnacion pulled it foul.
Johnson tries again. Here it comes. And he got him. on ball 3. Encarnacion swings and misses. And this game is headed for extra innings. A rough ninth for Johnson. He gives up the tying run, but gets Encarnacion to strike out. Let's head for the 10th after this. Every out-of-market game live on your computer with MLB.tv. In fact, you can watch live baseball on your iPhone or iPod Touch with MLB At Bat app. You have Major League Baseball available to you no matter where you are. For details, please visit BlueJays.com. So we'll play extra innings tonight as Matt Wieters comes in to lead off the 10th inning. Jeremy Accardo remains on the hill. Tied at 5 here in game number 2. Jamie Campbell is with Rance Mullenix and Sam Cosentino. And we're glad that you've decided to spend part of your evening with us. Wieters for his part, 2 for 4. He's got a pair of doubles and an RBI. Defensively, Lyle Overbay stays in the game and takes over first base. Rance, if you were up there hitting, would you find that glove distracting?
No.
Not at all?
No.
Major League rules stipulate you can't have a multicolored glove. It has to be one color. And Accardo clearly has gone all out on that one. Here's the 2-2, and it's fouled away again by Wieters. If you're thinking of joining us at the ballpark on the weekend, I'll set the pitching matchups for you. It's a 4-game set between the Jays and the Mariners. Thursday, King Felix Hernandez brings a 16-5 record into the building up against Ricky Romero. As that's inside 3-2. Roy Halladay pitches on Friday night against Doug Fister. Saturday, it's David Percy back on the mound. He just picked up his first win at the major league level last night against the Orioles. Ian Snell provides the opposition. And then the season here at home wraps up. Talent against Ryan Roland Smith on Sunday. Base hit left field. Wieters, after a long battle with Accardo, comes up with a single. Commentator clothing is provided in part by Zizenia. Statistical information provided by Stats Inc. And the batter now is the man who took over left field, Jeff Fiorentino, as Robert Andino is the pinch runner at first. Well, he tried to bunt. Can't execute.
Now, Dave Tremblay, the manager of the Baltimore Orioles, at least based upon what we've seen, he pretty much goes by the book. So you would expect in this situation that they try to get a sacrifice bunt down and then take 2 opportunities to try to drive in the go-ahead run. And maybe by chance Fiorentino missed a sign because Juan Samuel called him down and spoke to him.
He squares again and rolls it foul.
And that is frustrating for a manager.
And he doesn't look all that comfortable even attempting to drop a bunt, Rance.
Well, the first one, it looked like he tried to just deaden it a little too much.
Do you run the risk of trying it again on 2 strikes?
We're going to find out.
He squares, and that's it. He's gone. Well, they risk it, and that risk did not pay off as Fiorentino heads back to the dugout, head hung low.
And of course, this will go as a strikeout. Just, poor technique. The way you're taught to bunt is instead of try to drop that bat with the hands, just you use your knees and kind of move things up and down that way so that the eyes stay on the same plane as the bat.
Melvin Mora is the batter, and he takes strike 1 from Accardo.
But as a rookie, a young player, you don't do yourself any favor with your manager when you're asked to get down a bunt and you're unable to do it.
Accardo has been up and down many times this year. This is his 3rd stint at the big league level. And he looks behind him into left field, and he'll notice Casey Jansen and Sean Camp warming up. Here's the 0-1, and there is Mora going around. 0-2 now. Accardo would obviously like to finish up the season well and really put himself in position to try and start the year in the bullpen next season. He was unable to do that this year. Two strikes on Mora. Andino at first. Chopped toward Hill. And he runs in front of the base runner and still manages to get the out at first base. And along the way, tags out Andino.
I think perhaps this was called interference on the base runner Andino. I don't know that he ever tagged him. He didn't.
Well,
that's interference.
There's interference
so he's
called
out.
right there. Okay.
And then the relay to first base completes the double play.
A reminder, coming up on Sunday, the last game of the year here at Rogers Center. It's the Jerseys Off Their Backs promotion. After the game, 10 lucky fans received the game-worn jersey from a select member of the Blue Jays. Pick up your tickets at BlueJays.com. Most Rogers Plus locations have them. Here's a one-time closer for the Baltimore Orioles. Chris Ray in the bottom of the 10th inning. Vernon Wells comes up swinging. Base hit left field. Lead runner on for the Jays in the bottom of the 10th inning.
Vernon Wells gets like a little flat slider. And drives it into left field.
Here's Rod Barajas now.
Hey, the Jays don't, it doesn't appear that the Jays bunt a lot, but this might be a situation, especially considering Rod Barajas has really been struggling as of late. Drop a bunt down and give yourself 2 chances to win the game.
Barajas is 0 for his last 16.
Because he'll be followed by Overbay and then Adam Lind.
Squatting just behind him is the new catcher for the Orioles, as Chad Moeller is in. That one is down the line but rolls foul.
Barajas also does not run well, so if he puts the ball in play on the ground, pretty routine double play.
He squares immediately and they pitch out. He pulls back. 1-1.
And Rod Barajas has demonstrated in the past when called upon to bunt. He's a good bunter. Nice job. Gets the ball down, deadens it.
He squares again. Drops it down nicely. Hustles down to first. Roberts covers. And Wells is up to second.
That's just great technique. You noticed how he used his knees to kind of bend at the legs. So again, that eye stays more on the same plane as the bat. Nice job to deaden the ball and get the sac bunt down.
Dave Tremblay takes the ball from Chris Ray, and he'll hand off to the left-hander Alberto Castillo. We'll take a break and return with the runner in scoring position for the Blue Jays in the 10th. There's the left-hander Alberto Castillo. He pitched last night, 2/3 of an inning. He struck out Snyder and got a ground out of Kyle Phillips. His opponent at the plate right now, the left-handed hitting first baseman Lyle Overbay. 1 out, Wells at second, bottom of 10, strike 1. Castillo's major league debut came here in Toronto July 8th of last year. That's ball 1. His first major league victory came in a suspended game that finished up in August at Camden Yards. He defeated the Chicago White Sox, but the game had been suspended from April the 28th. So his first major league victory was actually a game of April 28th, even though he wasn't even in the big leagues at that point. Kind of strange, but that's how it goes. Here he's facing Lyle Overbay, who replaced Kevin Millar in the 9th inning and struck out. Here's the 2-1 pitch. Now 3-1. There's another left-hander on deck in Adam Lind. He singled in the 9th inning, moving his average to 301.
This is where if you're Castillo, you have to be aware of the fact that the guy at the plate does not typically hit left-handers near as well as Adam Lind, who's on deck. And if Castillo is able to retire Overbay, you would think that they will walk Lind and pitch to Snyder.
Bounce to first. Aubrey has it. Castillo covers. And Wells took a wide turn and now is back safely to third. Mora thought he had the swipe tag. Wells draws a throw on that play.
Well, this was not a very good feed. The ball was a little bit behind Castillo. And Wells, as you mentioned, with the aggressive turn, almost got out too far, but was able to just get back to the bag. And clearly from that angle, Mora didn't tag him.
As you predicted, Rance, they will put Lind on here and instead pitch to young Travis Snyder, who has hits in his last 2 at-bats. This is a fine example of the respect that Adam Lind has earned this year.
And it's the right move. If the young hitter Snyder beats you, so be it. But you're not going to let Adam Lind in this situation swing the bat.
Well, let's see if the kid from Mill Creek, Washington can come up big here in the 10th inning. He's 2 for 3 tonight. He has not been hitting very well against left-handed pitching this year. Well under 200. As he lays off there. Lind picks up second on the play. 1-0 to Snyder.
I have never understood that particular situation where you just let the guy take second base, because now you've lost that force out at second base, and a ball in the middle of the infield that's not hit real hard. Snyder runs pretty good. You might not be able to throw him out,
Castillo the 2-0, and it's high. Good eye from Snyder, 3-0 now. Ball 4. Base is loaded. France, could part of the thinking be that you just don't want to run the risk of, say, throwing the ball away at second base, having it get past the infielder and having Wells score easily? I mean, is that a possibility?
It is a possibility, but they really no effort to even prevent Adam Lind from running off of first base. And you see that happen a lot. And if you're not going to even make a throw,
there's strike 1 on McDonald. Two out, bases loaded. And McDonald's the kind of guy who could very easily squeeze in a run.
With 2 out, it'd be tough to.
He comes up swinging, and there's a blooper, and it's caught by Aubrey, who backed off and got to it in time. And so the 10th comes to an end with the bases loaded. For the series finale tomorrow night, 7 Eastern time, 4 Pacific. Scott Richmond is on the hill for the Blue Jays. He's 6-10. And Jeremy Guthrie, who's 1-10 and lost 15, goes for Baltimore. Once again, first pitch is just past 7 Eastern, 4 Pacific time. Sean Camp comes in now and replaces Jeremy Accardo, who went 2 innings. Camp will face the designated hitter, Ty Wigginton, right fielder Lou Montañez, and first baseman Michael Aubrey here in the 11th inning. A little overtime for you here at the Rogers Center. Jamie Campbell's with Rance Mullenix, Sam Cosentino, and Scott Carson, our Sportsnet.ca columnist. Ex-teammates face each other here. Camp and Wigginton played together in Tampa Bay a few years back. Here's the 1-1 pitch, and that just misses. 2-1. The Blue Jays are just 5-12 in extra inning games this year. Swing and a miss. 3-2. They're 4-3 here at home. They've got 4 walk-off victories and a terrible 1-9 on the road. This is grounded to short. McDonald has it. And he throws at Wigginton. 1 gone. Up steps Lou Montañez. Perhaps the most heartbreaking of the extra innings losses this year came in Baltimore on May 27th. Roy Halladay started that game against the Orioles. He went 7 innings and left with an 8-3 lead, but Baltimore stormed back, scored 5 in the 8th inning, sent the game to extras. In the top of the 11th, Aaron Hill hit his 12th home run of the year, a 2-run shot, making it 10-8. And then in the bottom half, the Blue Jays essentially blew up. B.J. Ryan gave up a single to Nick Markakis. He was pulled to batter later. Brian Wolf couldn't get anybody out and eventually gave up a 3-run home run to Nolan Reimold. And that was the 9th consecutive Blue Jay loss. They lost every one of those games on the road. Camp has been terrific for the Jays this year. Gets the swing and a miss of Montañez, and he is gone, and that is a nasty, nasty slider. Look at the action on this pitch, Rance.
Late and hard.
It brings up Michael Aubrey with 2 out. Top of the order is coming up for the Blue Jays in the bottom of this inning with Bautista, Hill, and Encarnacion. Aubrey here takes strike 1. The Orioles haven't posed much of a threat so far in extra innings. They got the leadoff single from Wieters in the 10th. But Accardo struck out Fiorentino, who failed to try and bunt the pinch runner over. And then Mora grounded to second baseman Hill. And Dino ran interference on him and was called out, as that is fouled out of play. So far here in the 11th, Wigginton grounds out, Montañez strikes out. And here is Aubrey behind in the count, 0-2.
Sean Camp, another one of these guys out of the bullpen that's seen a lot of work. He has now pitched 75 innings in relief and has done a very good job.
Line to right field. Bautista is at the wall. He makes a leaping grab, pulls it down, and retires Aubrey. And so the Orioles go in order here in the 11th inning.
You can see Bautista playing very deep to take away any extra base hits, is able to get back to the wall and make a nice catch.
Well, after tonight, there are only 5 games remaining. The final homestand features the matchup tomorrow, a 4-game set beginning Thursday with the Mariners. Lots of seats available, and you can get them by phone or by internet at BlueJays.com. Dennis Sarfate is the right-hander. He'll start the 11th inning here with the Blue Jays bringing the top of the order to the plate. They have been without Sarfate most of the year. He's been on the disabled list. So he comes in and sees Jose Bautista. Throws one in the dirt. 1-0. Bautista might be feeling a little sore. He took a pitch on the elbow from Jim Johnson with the bases loaded in the 9th and brought in the game-tying run. His pain made extra innings possible. Here's the 2-0 from Sarfate. Ball 3. Sarfate is a hard-throwing right-hander from Queens, New York. One of many picked up from Houston in the Miguel Tejada deal 2 years ago. He actually came up with Milwaukee in 06, his first taste in the big leagues. And Bautista steps away and takes 3-1 now. His rehab from circulatory problems has taken him through all 3 levels of the minor leagues this year, as that's a foul ball that takes Moeller's mask right off.
Bautista with a 3-1 fastball, a good one to hit, and he did not get cheated. He had intentions of ending this ball game with this last swing.
The payoff, fouled back and out of play. Well, now it's Brian O'Nora who's shaken up.
Well, the last 3 pitches have just been nothing more than challenge fastballs. And Bautista's had some good hacks. The last one fouling it straight back, so clearly on the pitch, just unable to center it up.
Eight pitches thrown, 4 fouled away. Sarfate with a blazing fastball up against a good fastball hitter in Bautista. He'll try again on 3-2, and it's hammered down the line in left field, and that one is foul. That is indeed a head shaker for Bautista, who had all of the ball and it just wouldn't straighten out for him. So he gears up again. That's way high, and Sarfate walks him. Well, the Blue Jays got their lead man on in the 10th inning. But they were unable to bring home Vernon Wells after he singled to lead off the Jays half of the 10th. With Wells at first, Barajas dropped down a sacrifice bunt. Here is Aaron Hill.
Doubt Hill's bunting.
With 33 home runs, you wouldn't expect to see it. As Sarfate looks back Bautista.
That is oftentimes called from the dugout. Pitcher comes set, hold, and then step off the rubber to see if either the runner at first base or the hitter might tip the hand a little bit to see if there's something on.
And now a quick throw over. Bautista has to dive into the bag.
You know, Bautista, although he came into the ballgame tonight hitting .228, he's now walked 54 times. So pretty good eye at the plate and a nice at bat to start this inning for the Jays.
Ball 1 to Hill.
And this is a matchup that you have to like if you're the Blue Jays. You've got Aaron Hill at the plate, who's an outstanding fastball hitter. And Sarfate primarily a fastball pitcher. That's basically all we have seen from him so far.
Hill has already been a walk-off hero in the 11th inning in Toronto against Baltimore this year. That was May the 2nd. He pops this one up, and that one drifts out of play. In the bottom of the 11th, with 2 out on May the 2nd, Hill singled to center field to score Rod Barajas, ensuring a 5-4 win. The Jays ran their record at that time to a very impressive 17-9. They were 8 games over 500 at the time. Breaking ball smack to the gap in center field, and that is trouble for the Orioles. Bautista heads for third, waved home, and he is storming in with a game-winning run. Aaron Hill is the walk-off hero as the Blue Jays win in the 11th inning. And what a way to amass 100 RBIs on the year. He has reached that level for the first time in his career in dramatic fashion.
Well, a nice at bat by Bautista to start this inning with the base on balls, get aboard. Aaron Hill gets a breaking ball that stays up out over the plate. Didn't try to pull it, went with it beautifully to right center, and the moment the ball left the bat, you knew this game was over.
His 100th RBI. And once that found ground, with Bautista well on his way, the Jays sailed on to the win as they take it 6-5. For Rance Mullenix, Sam Cosentino, Scott Carson, and our entire Sportsnet crew, I'm Jamie Campbell. Good night from Toronto.